Jams, jams, jams. Picture books and jams. Welcome, everybody, to PBJamz. Music and picture books. What a perfect sandwich. Squish them all together. What a yummy snack. PBJamz.
Good afternoon, or maybe good evening, whenever it is, wherever you are and whenever you're joining us. We are very glad that you're here today. I'm here with Gloria Amescua, and she is the author of Abuelita's Song, which is a beautiful book. Absolutely. The illustrations are beautiful, the words are beautiful. There's a lot of Spanish mixed in, so it's got a bilingual component. So thank you, Gloria, for being here and talking about this gorgeous book.
Well, thank you for inviting me. I'm really excited to be here and excited to talk with you. Really appreciate it. And I hope that people will find the book is fascinating. The art, as you said, is absolutely gorgeous, and I'm just thrilled about it. It's just a beautifully illustrated book. Mariah Rahman is the illustrator, so
Yeah, thank you for shouting her out. That's awesome. Yeah,
yeah.
the art is really spectacular. It's so lovely. Just lends a very almost a little magical,
Mhm.
feel to this very homey, sweet story, but it does kind of lend just a little extra magical bit to it. So
Mhm.
really beautiful. And this book was published by Paula Wiseman, right?
Right, it's Simon and Schuster, yes.
Yeah, lovely. So talk to us, Gloria, about where did this book come from? Where did this story come from?
Well, it really came directly from my heart. And in my author's note, I put what really initiated the actual song that is Abuelita's song. And that is when my son was a baby, I didn't know any Spanish lullabies. I grew up in that time period where my parents were trying to help their children, so they spoke to them in English, even though they spoke to each other in Spanish. And so, you know, I didn't know any Spanish lullabies, or if my parents sang them to me, I didn't remember. And it wasn't the time of computers. I mean, the local library where I was in a small town, they didn't have any. So I just thought, well, I'm just going to make something up. And I just started singing. I was no forethought to the song. It just, the words came out and I just started, and I'm not really a singer. But I wanted him to hear uh, some words in Spanish, and I thought a lullaby. And he'd asked for it as he grew a little older, so that's kind of where the story came from. And in real life, much later, when he was grown and had a family, had two granddaughters, I I overheard them singing the song in their actually in their cribs. One of them was a little older, maybe too much for a crib, but she was in a crib. And they were singing it, and I was totally blown away. It just touched my heart so much that my son had remembered the song and that he had sung it to them and that they were singing it. And so, of course, it's fictionalized. The story's a little bit different. It goes through many revisions to get where it is, but that's what inspired it. It really, I just thought, I was so touched. I thought, I need to write this as a little story and include the song. It's just, it's a wonderful feeling to be
Yeah,
able to do that.
yeah. How awesome for sure. Like I was just talking with a it wasn't even a parent, it was an elder, yesterday we had a young authors celebration, and one of our writers had written about this gentleman who had really impacted him. And the older man had no idea. He had no idea, but they had invited him to come, and he was just overcome with emotion. And
Oh,
we were just talking about that fact that you don't know those little things that you do that just impact young people in this beautiful way. And sometimes we never know, like we never get that opportunity. But here you did. You had this great opportunity to hear this song that you had shared with your son, and then hear it revisited back to you via your
right.
granddaughters,
It
which is
was just
lovely.
so touching. And I don't know, I felt like I had to write about it because it was it was something about something being carried on through generations. It was uh, a gift.
Yeah.
It was a gift to me to
Yeah.
hear them singing it.
Of
And it made
course.
me think about other traditions that are passed down in many different forms, whether it's food or stories or whatever, activities are associated with certain holidays or birthdays or whatever it might be. And what I realized was, you can create your own tradition
Yeah.
that can be passed down. And so that's kind of an important part of the story for me too.
Yeah.
Yeah, that unknowingly, you know.
Right, right. Well, that's a very good point. I think, especially for, some people come without much family tradition. They come and they create their own families. And maybe they don't have a strong traditional background, but it's never too late. You're right. You can create your own and then pass those down and pass them along.
Right,
They're just as valuable and just as special and important,
right,
for
right.
sure.
Another tradition is I made Christmas cookies, which everyone does, and we decorated and so on with my son when he was very young, like 3. And we
Yeah.
continued that even when he was in college and or when he came after he graduated, he'd come home to visit. And once he had a friend that came, a Jewish friend, and he made Christmas cookies with us too and decorated. It's so it's a tradition, and my granddaughters also do that. And
Yeah.
that's kind of common, the cookie making,
Right.
but it's still special.
It is still special, and every family puts their own little twist on it. The
Mm,
kind of cookies you make, or how just that process and just who you're doing it with makes it individual to your own family as
right,
well.
right.
Yeah, I love
Wow.
that. Um, yeah, well, since we are on PBJamz, we always like to talk about the music. So let's talk about where the music ends up in this book. Obviously, it's everywhere because this whole
It
thing is about a lullaby in this song.
It is everywhere. And here you can see the cover. It's just so gorgeous. But this is not the paper cover. I just have but I'll show you. The paper cover is gorgeous too, in that the stars kind of
Yeah.
glow
Right.
and this is raised. Oh, it feels so nice. I just was totally excited when I saw that.
Yeah.
And yes, the music is throughout, and I'm going to just kind of show you some pages.
Sure.
Um, and this one, um, the mother is singing to the little boy.
Yeah.
I have it where you can kind of
You
see.
do. Yep.
Yeah,
Yep.
and um, it, so there is a song, and the words change slightly as you go through because it changes to when the father is singing
Yeah.
to his daughters, so it's a different version
Right.
slightly that fits them, and it's also just wonderful that much later the girls, as a gift and a surprise to, I don't know, I hope I'm holding it where you can
Yes.
see
Yes.
it.
It's perfect.
Um,
Yeah.
they decide to surprise Abuelita with the song that they had learned from their father. And in the story, she hasn't seen them in a long time, and so she is just totally delighted. And I, um, yeah, the song's here too,
Oh,
and it has the whole family because they're all involved. Oh, and I want to mention something too. I got to have input on the illustrations. I was so
oh,
thrilled
nice.
because that doesn't usually happen.
No, it doesn't.
And when my son left after he decided to move to New York, uh, he took his guitar and his amp and a bag of clothing
Yeah.
to get on the Amtrak train and go to New York City. And I thought, oh, it would be so great that when he leaves home in the story, if there's a guitar there and then somewhere else in the story. And then Mariah put it in this story, and there he
Yeah.
is with the guitar. So that's really special. And I wanted to show that not only are there translations for the song, which is in Spanish, but also my son did the notations for the music.
Love
And
it.
that's special as well.
Mhm.
And he added guitar notations too. So, yeah, I'm just really feel like it's kind of a collaborative thing because
Yeah.
he did that part of it. And so, yeah, that made it very special. I mean, this is a story of my heart. It really is.
Right. Right.
And I hope other people feel like that too, that the emotion comes through. So,
Oh yeah, I definitely think that it does for sure. Yeah, and you're right. So the music just kind of runs all the way through. Like we keep coming back, and as you mentioned, the words change,
mhm,
which is also, I think, a good point for families using this book. Like you can make things your own, you can
mhm,
make them fit your situation, your circumstances.
right. You
Um,
can you can use Nino or Nina, which know can be boy or girl. It also can mean baby, but you can use if I use my son's name uh,
right.
at the shortened form of it, which had two syllables and fit right in. We used to
Uh,
call him Corby. His name is Corbin. And so I would say Corby. So you can
right.
use the name or, or some other little, uh, sweet thing that fits. And
Right.
yeah, it just makes it uh, more yours. And it's in English too. So you can sing it
Yeah,
in English.
throughout there's
I
translations.
should,
It'll share the Spanish and then it'll share
right.
the English translation as you go through. Great for people like me who are trying to learn a little bit of Spanish, but also for our Spanish speaking children.
Hmm.
It's very good for them that are trying to learn English. The ones who come and they're learning English, it's good for them because it's something familiar to them
Right.
as
And it
well.
has the English translation right there. So yeah. And it is it repeats some of this so that you can really learn the words. Music is a great
Right.
way of learning language. So
Absolutely.
yeah, yeah. So
Yes, it is. And that repetition is really helpful. As you mentioned, that repetition really helps get it ingrained in our hearts and in our minds. So really good stuff. And when you're looking at the words, it also helps build fluency. So there's a lot of great reading and musical things that go hand in hand. I love presenting about that to schools and organizations and talking about how important music is to reading and how there's a lot of similarities in how we learn both of them, and they're both reading and we left to right, and there's so many similarities in how we learn. They're both letter based, and so there is a lot of similarity, and music helps in so many ways to cement
it
our
does.
learning.
It does. It the rhythm. I mean, kids just respond so much to rhythm. That is such an important part. And this book is, I am a poet and I have been a poet. So writing this lyrically was important to me because it evoked the feelings so well that
Yeah,
I think it also helps develop that emotional connection with
for
it. Yeah.
sure. Yeah. Yeah, it's such a lovely story. I adore it. It's really
Thank you.
wonderful. Yeah. So when you put this book out into the world and you know there's going to be families or teachers sharing this book with young kids, with young people, what is one thing about the book or from the book that you really hope they don't miss? Something that you hope they're going to recognize and be sure to share with the kids or point out to them?
Can I do two
Of
things?
course you can. Yes.
One thing is that there in the art, oh, she just did such a, there are things that show up. There's a cat that's throughout it, and then a different cat at Abuelita's home.
Uh-huh.
There, so that's something to notice. There are dinosaurs. There's a stuffed dinosaur. There's
Fun.
a dinosaur in art. So that goes through it. All
Yeah.
these little touches. And another thing is there are some paper airplanes. And
Oh,
this, I hadn't quite gotten, and a friend pointed it out to me. She said, "That's the story." And I went, "Oh, cool. That is the story." They're flying through the air like the words in the story are flying through the air. I just thought, oh my gosh, this illustrator, Mariah Rahman, is just so fantastic. So those are some things that kind of go through, and I think it would be great for kids to be aware and just notice these little details.
yeah.
uh, that, and then the most important thing that I want readers to get and parents to get from it for their kids is that these traditions can be totally created. I mean, I didn't know I was creating a tradition, but I'm so glad that it became that. And it's special. It really is special. And like you said earlier, you may not come with a lot of traditions. I didn't come with a lot of, Mexican American traditions or
Right.
Latino traditions. That just didn't happen. So I didn't have grandparents that were alive or close. And so, yeah, just kind of like creating your own traditions is important. It's just a sweet, important thing for families to help them be connect.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Because
So,
that's what we use those traditions for. And, another thing I think when we talk about traditions, we lost my mom 4 years ago. And one
oh,
conversation that we've had to have is that traditions are meant to serve your family. They're meant to provide opportunities, as you said, for connection, for building relationship, for bringing that emotional connectedness and
hmm
closeness to your family, giving you opportunities to interact in different ways. But then there comes a time when that tradition may not serve the family anymore. It may become more of a burden
hmm
than a building up of family. And then you have to decide to let some traditions go. And
hmm
hopefully that's not the case with your lovely song. But I do think it bears talking about because,
All right.
as things in your family change, just like you were talking about how you can adjust the song to fit your circumstances, right? Like our traditions have to be flexible enough that we can adjust them to meet the needs of our family as it changes,
Right.
right?
I
Yeah.
agree. Yes, I
And that's a
totally.
hard thing for families sometimes when there is a shift, especially an unhappy one like losing a part of your family or something, and then things that have you've always done them this way, but all of a sudden you can't do them that way anymore.
hmm
And so you have to find new traditions and new ways to connect without that missing person. Um,
Right.
and so yeah, I think that's important, and it bears with what you were saying about creating your own traditions. And then you do sometimes have to just shift and create some new traditions,
Right.
right?
Right.
Yeah. But that's a great a great conversation starter. I mean, this book can be that. It can be a great conversation starter with families about, what traditions are important to our family. What are things that you think you're going to always remember that we do together,
Mhm.
could lead to some really lovely conversations between parents and kids or aunts and nieces and nephews or whoever you're engaged with in your family or
Yeah.
neighbors. Yeah. Yeah.
That's true. It is so true. Because there's some things that you can't always meet at like my parents' house because they're gone,
Right.
which we used to do. That was a big
Of
tradition. But
course.
then we had to create new ones,
That's
and
right.
we
That's
have.
right. You do.
Yeah.
Yeah. But some people are just they have a harder time with that, but it's good to realize that traditions are fluid. They don't have to be written in stone, just like you can create new ones
Right.
altogether. You can also create new ones in the middle of where old ones used to be. You can create new pieces and new um, we're just yeah. Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, I hope that parents start making up songs for their kids.
Yes, wouldn't that be
Wouldn't
awesome?
that be great? Yeah. I
Yeah.
mean, why not?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Singing was a huge part of my growing up too. My dad is, he sings all the time. Still, even now he's 82 and he still sings, whatever he's doing. He
Oh,
cut meat for years in the meat market in the department grocery stores. And, they would always laugh and say, well, he's the singing meat cutter, but he always sang. And that is definitely one of the most treasured memories that I have of my growing up years was,
oh,
listening to Daddy sing and being sung to by Daddy and singing with Daddy.
oh, that's
Yeah.
wonderful.
Yeah.
It's great.
Love it when music is part of those family traditions.
Mm-hmm. That's true. That's true.
Yeah.
I, I, uh, I really, I mean, I was like in band and so on, but I didn't have the musical ear that my son's father had. So thankfully he got those genes, even though I don't have them. But, that didn't keep me from singing a
That's
lullaby,
right.
or
Right.
singing in church or singing, whenever I feel like it. Yeah.
Yeah.
So,
That's a great message for all the moms out there too, to sing whether you think you can or not, because that you're doing so much more than just singing to your babies when you do that. You are
mhm.
building those relationships and those bonds and you're even as they grow up and they realize, me and mom really wasn't that comfortable with that, but she did it anyway for us.
Mhm.
And that's just a sweet message to share with them as they get older, that you did hard things for them because you love them and because you wanted that emotional resonance with them.
Mhm. Yeah.
Yeah, love it. Love it. I'm glad you sang. I'm glad you sang this song and I'm glad you wrote it all down.
Except now I have to sing it all these different times in the book when I'm presenting. It's like, oh well, they'll see how that goes.
That's right. But it's just the reality of it and it's
Yeah,
lovely. Yeah.
yeah. So,
You don't have to be an opera singer to do that.
no,
It's
no.
just part of the organic nature of the book and how it came to be. And I think that's one of the most lovely parts of it. So I definitely hope you'll sing those parts as you.
Oh, I will. I'm going to see if I can get whoever the audience is to sing with me, but I will. You know.
Yeah, of course, of course. Well, speaking of audiences and presenting this book, can you tell us about some things that are coming up? Maybe so your book is not launched yet. It's coming up soon, though.
Right. May 20th is when it will be available.
Uh-huh.
So people can pre-order it. If they want to want it signed, they can pre-order it from Book People, which is in Austin, Texas. And that's my local indie that's the largest in Texas, actually.
Oh,
And I will be there signing books for people who want to put a note and say who they want that, you know, signed to. And then I also have another book coming out. May I mention that?
Please do.
Yeah, and
Yeah.
it is a different, it is one that came out several years ago, Child of the Flower Song People. And what I'm really excited about now is that it's going to be translated. It is now translated into Spanish, and it'll be available November 11th. So that's coming up, and really, I don't have the book yet to show, but it's Niña del Floricanto, La Gente de Floricanto.
Mm.
But it is a biography about an indigenous Mexican woman in the early 1900s, a Nahua who were descendants of the Aztecs, and how she, as a child, learned about the culture and the traditions of her family. And then much later, she became a model for important artists like Diego Rivera, and was known as kind of the spirit of Mexico because they were focusing on the native people, the indigenous people, and the arts, many of the artists in that time. And she also helped preserve the language, which wasn't written down, worked with a professor who wanted to help preserve it. And so Luz Jimenez is an important person. Child of the Flower Song People, Luz Jimenez, daughter of the Nawa.
Well,
And I was very thrilled that this received a bunch of awards, totally was not expecting, but was thrilled to receive. So,
that's fabulous.
yeah, but now it's coming out in Spanish. So that
Love
one
that.
too is available for pre-order wherever books are sold. But, if you want it signed, then book people in
Gotcha. And
Austin.
we'll link all that up below. So those of you who
Mhm.
are catching this episode. And by the way, if you're watching this on YouTube, let me just say to make sure you go over to the blog, the actual blog site, especially if you want to be eligible for a giveaway, because Gloria is generously offering a copy of Abuelita's song. That'll go out to one lucky winner. So, in order to be eligible for that, you do need to make a comment on the blog post. But also in the blog post, I'm going to link up some writing tips from Gloria, some writing prompts that I'm going to share, along with a ton of teaching ideas and tips. I always post a Pinterest board and a YouTube playlist full of other ideas that you can use with your family or if you're using this in the classroom. So there's going to be so much more content. So here on YouTube, you're catching the video, catch everything else over at the blog.
I just remembered to mention that on my website, which is gloriamesqua.com, um, if you go to Abuelita's song, there are links to where you can hear the song being
No.
sung by my granddaughters. I asked them several years ago to sing for me as a Christmas gift and sing the song so I could record it. And they did. And so it's only linked up on YouTube through my website. I didn't put it just,
Right,
public.
right.
And also, the music is on the website. You can find the music, but it's in the book too. So,
Yeah,
yeah.
yeah.
So,
Yeah, so we'll link up all that so you can find that. I'll link up Lori's website and in any socials that she wants to share. So all that'll be below. And so make sure you check all of that out if you're on the blog. And again, if you're on YouTube, make sure to head over to the blog and get all the extra content that is over there. So anything else you want to share before we sign off, Gloria?
no, I mean, I have the Spanish translation. I would lead the song. I have another biography under contract that I can't say anything about yet, but
All the secrets in publishing.
yeah, the secrets in publishing.
Yeah.
And so, hopefully I'll have some more books to talk about later. Yeah.
Nice, nice. Well,
Yeah.
y'all check out her website and keep posted there. I'm sure that any upcoming things will be posted there, as well as any personal appearances that she's going to be making as she launches this brand new, beautiful book out into the world.
Oh, thank you so much for inviting me, Tanya. This is such a delight.
It has
Thank
been such fun chatting with you. Yeah, such a sweet story. And thank you guys for joining us too here for this episode of PBJamz. And we will see you the next time.
Bye.
What a yummy treat. Jamming PBs all the time. PBJamz. Songish books and bookish songs. Tips for music teachers. Interviews and book reviews. A little singing and dancing. PBJamz. Yummy books and music. PBJamz. Reading, writing, teaching. PBJamz. What a yummy treat. Jamming PBs all the time. PBJamz. Jams, jams, jams. Picture books and jams. We'll see